Welcome to the Pitch of Discontent. This is Owen, back again, solo once more for the release Roundup. Paige is in the third trimester of our upcoming pregnancy and birth, so she's feeling a little bit stretched, a little bit worn thin, a little bit tired, so she decided to dip out for this episode. But look, I have valiantly stepped to the fore. I'm going to be holding it down. Another solo episode. If you're a returning watcher, listener, thank you. You know what you're in for. We're just going to run through these tunes. I'm going to give you some new releases for the week. You know what it is. It's going to be a fun episode. So stick around. Don't go anywhere. I got some good stuff for you. I got a couple of records that we can throw up at the top of the show. So we have the debut full-length record from UK alternative, post-hardcore, kind of whatever loud guitar rock band is suitable enough. The band is Split Chain. The album is Motion Blur. It's out now on Epitaph Records, debut LP. Great band. We featured a couple of singles on the show before. They're part of this ongoing kind of grunge gaze revival 2.0. Big into alternative rock, big into the 90s, big into delay pedals, big into big, fat, solid rock riffs. It's a great record. If you've enjoyed anything even tangential to grunge revival or alternative or shoegaze over the last 15 years, you'll fuck with this record. There's something on there for you. Let's talk about another one. We have the band Calva Louise with a new record, Edge of the Abyss. Really, really interesting band coming out of the UK. They're kind of a polyphonic kind of band. They pull a bunch of different influences together. I believe the vocalist is from Venezuela. One of the members of the band is from France, but they're based in the UK, in London, I believe. Really, really cool, interesting sound. There's shades of metalcore in there. There's little bits of like rap rock kind of delivery in there, but also just very abrasive riffs, some dancey kind of stuff in there, some synth stuff in there, some punk in there, rock in there. It's crazy. Very, very hard to define, genre agnostic, but if you like heavy, interesting, weird music delivered with a really cool sense of style and swagger that's kind of completely their own, you should check it out. We featured the final track on the record, Under the Skin, on the show last year. But yeah, new album is out, Edge of the Abyss. It fucking rocks. Go check it out. Final record to talk about is the new one from Somerset Thrower. Big fans of the pod. We featured them. The record is called Take Only What You Need to Survive. They're part of this ongoing, like Long Island, New York punk resurgence, melodic hardcore kind of resurgence. They're leaning more towards the melodic punk spectrum than the melodic hardcore spectrum, but still in that scene, still in that sort of vibe. Just really cool, catchy, late 90s, early 2000s type stuff. It rocks. Just great choruses, really, really good songwriting, some stellar riffs on this one. If you want a cool, new driving record, punk rock record, you could do worse. This is definitely one to check out. Those are the records that I got for you at the top of the show. I think I've got an incredible line of tracks to go through for this episode. I got a stellar side B. I got an even better side A. We got some really cool shit to talk about. So I think we're just going to go ahead and do that. And yeah, let's go. Hello, Owen popping in to say, please sign up for the TPD Patreon. This is what helps us keep the lights on and keep the show going. The link is at the bottom of your screen right now, patreon.com/tpdpod. All of our patrons get exclusive access to Side B of our Roundup episodes, so you get a few extra tracks, as well as our feature album discussion and the full show experience. Our patrons also get exclusive access to behind-the-scenes, off-the-cuff chit-chat from all of our guest episodes. But the patrons are the ones who make all of this happen. For as little as $5 a month, you can sign up to the TPD Patreon, and it really helps us out, really helps us keep the show going. So shout out to all of our patrons, shout out to our executive producer patrons, you're the real ones, and yeah, thank you so much for watching the show. wonder if that's captured on here, some ASMR for you. I was influenced by a Instagram algorithm, and I have a brand new donut flavored blend of coffee, and it's pretty good. It's not sponsored, but yeah, it's nice, and I like coffee that has just like a little some little hint, little flavoring in there. I mostly drink it black and without sugar, like 90% of the time. So if the actual roast has a kind of flavoring in it, then I fuck with that. That's good for me. But anyway, enough about the coffee. Let's get into the tracks. Let's do side A for this week, shall we? Let's go. First up, we have Nam/Melbourne metallic hardcore crew Terminal Sleep. They are back with a new track. They've just finished a victory lap of the UK and Europe. It's their second time touring that region of the world. Absolutely crushed it. They're doing Europe Festival Summer, played a bunch of different festivals, just absolutely crushing it. You love to see it. Big fans of the show. Shout out to Beck, friend of the show. They have announced a signing to heavy music stronghold Nuclear Blast Records, Melbourne's worst, best kept secret. And they have unleashed their debut release for the label. New single is called They Circle Below. This is accompanied by an incredible performance clip directed by Jack Fontes of Fonte Visuals. And fun fact, we're in this one. Yes, you heard that right. Paige and I were part of the music video shoot here in Melbourne a couple of months ago. Paige was pregnant at the time, although we hadn't told people that she was pregnant. It's just a crazy, fun time. We're only in the music video for like maybe 2 seconds, so it's nothing dramatic. It's not like we have big character roles or anything, but it was really cool to be involved with the team, to go out there for the day, to help do the shoot, be a little extra in the background, and yeah, it's a fucking sick track. I got to see them play one particular 30-second snippet of it like 20 times, so that was fun. But the whole track rips, and I think Terminal Sleep are really on the cusp of their, inevitable world domination. They're a great band. We know that here in Australia. They've been smashing the touring circuit here. They've started touring Europe and the UK. People over there definitely know what the fuck is up. The rest of the world is just waiting. It's just a matter of time. They have some stuff cooking on the way, which I think people will be very excited about. But for now, this new single is giving you a taste of what Terminal Sleep are working with for 2025 and beyond. I have a quote here from vocalist and friend of the show, Bechtel Weston. She says on They Circle Below, the song explores the journey of navigating one's self-doubt and the drowning pressure of self-set expectations, overcoming mental turmoil, and the only way out being through. I think that's a fairly relatable message to kind of anyone's personal struggle. You just have to persevere. You got to grit. You got to push through it because that's the only thing you can do. Can't give up. Can't stop. Just got to keep pushing forward. All right. I think we should listen to the track. I think we should check it out, and then we can chat about it on the backside. This is Terminal Sleep. They Circle Below. Hell fucking yeah. I love Terminal Sleep because they embody this idea of being a metallic hardcore band. Like they might play on bills that are full of metalcore bands. They might be able to slot into those bills very easily. But at the end of the day, when you listen to their music, they're not quite sitting where all of the trendy type bits would sit. they still do hark back to the sound where you can be heavy, you can play in metal tuning, you can play in metal riffs, but your track is still oriented in its rhythm, still working on like a hardcore groove pattern. And Beck is such a dominating force on stage too that she really does embody this kind of like hardcore energy, presence, and really dominating the stage. Whether it's a small dive bar show or whether they're playing, the 2000 Trees Festival or something like that, she is able to dominate that stage, to whip the crowd up into such a frenzy that it really does bring out that kind of visceral, raw, cathartic hardcore energy. For this track, I think they've managed to keep that rawness in the mix. They've managed to embody that sense of being at a Terminal Sleep show and seeing bodies flying everywhere, seeing Beck prowling the stage, just fucking screaming into people's faces, staring into people with her fucking 1,000-yard stare. Just the visceral intensity of that experience is captured in the music, which I very much appreciate. The video as well kind of matches this kind of lyrical idea of being kind of setting a trap for yourself with your own expectations and constantly being hyper aware of the things that you perceive, other people perceive of you, and not wanting to fall short of those expectations or those perceptions. And then that becomes this self-fulfilling prophecy where you end up kind of short-circuiting yourself or undercutting yourself. And I think the video kind of portrays that, like Beck is kind of like submerged at times, but then kind of coming out from under the weight. She's circled by people in cloaks, certain people who might be in cloaks circling the band as they play in an abandoned warehouse, function space somewhere in Melbourne. That might be a thing that happens in the video. Who am I to say? But I just think the video is great. It's simple, it's effective, narrative isn't too overdone, and it really is just playing to the band's strengths and really kind of showcasing where they're at in 2025. They sound hungry, they sound ready, they sound they're gonna fucking dominate, and they will. I have no doubt about that. As for what's coming, they're on Nuclear Blast now. They're on an international label. They've got international touring under their belts. I think we're going to see a new release of some kind down the pike very soon, whether that's another EP, an album, who's to say. But I would imagine that there's new stuff coming very, very soon. So watch this space and we'll keep you up to date. Let's move on now to the next track for side A. We have Canadian riotgaze sibling duo Softcult, good friends of the show, featured them many, many times in the history of the pod and the newsletter. They're back with a new single from their as yet unannounced debut album. Previous single, Pill to Swallow, was a hazy kind of lead single that dropped back in April. They followed that one up with a new track. This one is called Naive. It's a song about, quote, the moment the scales fall from our eyes after we realize we've been romanticizing someone or the idea of someone. This one's gorgeous, it's lush, it's pretty. It's got a straightforward music video that was directed by vocalist, guitarist, and two-time friend of the show, Mercedes Arndt Horn, one half of the Softcult duo. Look, I have no doubt that when they announce this debut record, which hopefully, fingers crossed, will be at some point for this year, in the latter half of the year, it will be an album of the year contender. I've been following Softcult for years now. Each EP has been fantastic. The band has been to Australia. I've seen them live. The live show is impeccable. We've had Mercedes on the show twice now. She's incredibly fun to interview and talk about all of the band's influences and all the different things that they try to distill in their music, their lyrics, the themes, the messaging. Just an incredible band. They deserve the world. And I'm stoked to feature another song on the show. Let's just get into that. This is Softcult, Naive. think this is definitely showing that prettier, lush side of the band where they can definitely operate in two different modes. Softcult can have the angry, aggressive, righteous kind of music that makes you want to pump your fist and be like fuck off and really kind of get amongst it. This is not that. Naive is more stripped back, mid-tempo, really relying on the angelic, lofty, soft vocals, Sadie's, but also just like a nice, measured kind of driving rhythm from Phoenix, and just letting kind of sit and just be immersed, float along in this mix. It's very airy, very light, very kind of immersive. And I think for a band that is definitely steeped in the shoegaze tradition, they definitely know the lineage, subgenre, they know the greats, they know the new ones, they are one of the great new ones. They definitely know how to push and pull the listener and to really drag you along exactly where they need you to go. There's that moment in about halfway through the track where everything just kind of falls away. You're in this not quite ambient, but very like sparse kind of textural space. And then they allow that one final hook to really kind of sit with you. Like it's a fantastic track showing the full range of dynamics that the band can do, that they're very well versed in at this point. And yeah, it just has me excited for what's to come. I think they're they're one of those bands that I can't say enough good things about them. I definitely don't have any bad things to say about them, but I just love their music and I love what they do. And I'm really, really excited to hear this album whenever they announce it, whenever we get to hear it. I'm excited. That's all I have to say. Let's move on to the next track for side A this week. Well, speaking of worst, best kept secrets, it's finally here. Deftones. They're back. They have new music. We can hear it. They have announced the upcoming release of their new LP. This one is called Private Music. It's the follow up to 2020's Ohms LP. This new one is arriving on August 22nd via Reprise and Warner Records. This one was co produced with Nick Raskilinitz. Apologies if I fucked that one up. But he's worked with Alice in Chains, Foo Fighters, a bunch of other big bands. But he also had some production credits on 2010's Diamond Eyes and 2012's Koi no Yukan, which are two kind of fan favorite records in the latter part of the Deftones catalog. Certainly two records that I'm more familiar with, but particularly with the latter record, Koi no Yukan, the record was touted as a sonic reference point by guitarist and notable flat earther Stephen Carpenter, who basically said that the new record, Private Music, is going to be a mixture of what the band were doing on Koi no You Can with the previous record, Ohms. So, an interesting blend of where they were 5 years ago and then where they were 10 years ago. So interesting to think that that's kind of what they're working with. But anyway, an interesting kind of throwback, an interesting reference point. The band kicking off the North American leg of a tour that they have with Fantagram, Idols, and the Barbarians of California. They've also announced a UK and Europe tour for later this year with Denzel Curry and Drug Church. Fucking crazy lineup. Very, very excited for that. I won't be attending, of course, but it's just an exciting tour. And I hope if you have the opportunity to attend, you should. That's fucking mental. The band are also approaching the 30th anniversary of their debut album. And I got a quote here from friend of the show, Andrew Sacker, who recently wrote about this for Brooklyn Vegan. And he said, Deftones are, quote, a band who paved the way for rising new bands across multiple styles of music, shoegaze to alt rock to metalcore to various other forms of metal and beyond. It's not every day that a veteran rock band gets repositioned in such a drastically different light this far into their career, and it's even less common for said bands to be tapped in to why new generations are falling in love with them. And I put that quote in there just to really kind of counter or to add to this idea that Deftones have kind of become this genre unto themselves, this kind of sonic signifier that bands of all different genre stripes use to kind of indicate that they can be a little bit heavy, a little bit spacey, maybe a little bit horny, maybe a little bit alternative. And by saying that, like, we like the Deftones, we listen to the Deftones, that kind of primes your brain to be open to certain timbres, certain textures, certain grooves, certain vocal styles. And I just think that they have really grown from where they were in the late 90s and early 2000s, where they were very much kind of still part of the new metal wave and the new metal fixture. I think Andrew even has a bit where he was like, they're the one new metal band that you were allowed to like. Uh, which I don't necessarily think is true, but I get the sentiment to a certain degree. But yes, I would say that the Deftones do operate in this interesting space where they've kind of carved out this genre position of their own, and the way that people use that position as a reference point for their own music, I think is super interesting to me. We have a new single from Private Music. This is the opening track, and it's the lead single from the record. So we're going to listen to that now. So this is Deftones. My Mind is a Mountain. My Mind is a Mountain. This is quite, I guess, an aggressive kind of track for Deftones. Again, to kind of talk about the band as a genre unto themselves. I think if you think about that repertoire, the different kind of moods and textures that they're known for incorporating, I think you could comfortably say that this is on the more aggressive side. I feel like the chorus riff definitely has maybe like the chorus outro, I should say, has that driving kind of unified lead riff progression, whereas like a lot of the verses and kind of the pre-choruses building into this very kind of lofty kind of space. Chino is definitely counterpoint his vocals from the melodic prunes to then like the very direct kind of yell, like negative spaces. Yeah, I think on the whole, I don't have too much to say about it in the context of the larger Deftones catalog. I mean, it just sounds like Deftones to me. I would be very interested to see what some of the other tracks on Private Music are going to be like and how they're going to push and pull in different directions, thinking back to those different sonic reference points of working with a mixture of Ohm's material and Koi No Your Can't material. But look, I'd say a lot of people are very excited that they're finally back. They have been hinting at and teasing the release of this record for close to 2 years now. And it's been fully 5 years since Ohms came out in 2020, which was, of course, part of COVID and pandemic 2 and a bit years that feel like no time has passed at all. So it'll be interesting to see where Deftones are musically, sonically, thematically in 2025. But I think My Mind is a Mountain is a good indication that they're at least somewhat on a path that makes sense given everything that came before. And I'll be interested to see where they go from here. Let's talk about next track for side A. This is a new find. It comes courtesy of one of our patrons on the TPD Patreon. Shout out to Chris for putting me onto this. You, yes, you, hello, watching, listening to the show. You could sign up for the Patreon. That's patreon.com/TPDpod. You could sign up for the Patreon. You could join the cool little community that we have over there. You could throw us some money. You could help support the show. You get all of our bonus content. You get bonus stuff for guest episodes. You get side B of this show. You get 5 more tracks at the end of this episode. You get the full show experience. You get us talking about feature albums. All of that good stuff. I'm just saying. Think about it. Just think about it. Okay? Okay? Thanks. So, shout out to Chris once again for putting me onto this band. Band is a Gadigal Sydney emo outfit by the name of Brooklyn Comic. They have a debut album called Define Happiness, which is dropping on August 8th through Deaf Wolf Records. These guys are sick. They sound kind of like a mixture of everything that you could put under the emo umbrella. At times, they're a little bit heavy, have a little bit of that post hardcore sensibility, but the choruses and the hooks are really strong, and it's definitely operating in that kind of larger emo umbrella. They've got like 4 or 5 singles out from this record, and all of them kind of strike a different tone and have like a different kind of vibe to them, which bodes well for Define Happiness, I think, to show the breadth of their songwriting. As the band list on their bio profile, they're proud allies of the LGBTQIA plus community. Apologies, had to get that all in one mouthful. And that the group's sound, quote, blends emo, hardcore, indie, and alternative rock, tackling themes such as loss, self doubt, heartache, and personal growth. I think this is a really exciting band. I was genuinely surprised when Chris sent this over in our Patreon, and I had a listen, and I was like, "Oh, this band is cool. Where are they from?" Pulled up the Bandcamp, and I was like, "Oh shit, they're from here. They're from Sydney. They're Australian. How have I not heard this band before?" So this is why the Patreon is so sick, because people from all over the world send me music, and I get to be like, "Holy shit, they're from here. They're Australian, like me." Great times, fun experience. You should really be a part of it. But let's have a listen to the most recent single from Define Happiness. This is Brooklyn Comic, Made for Someone Else.
You say you'll be fine when all you see on the TV screen is judgmental lies, speaking loudest but knowing the least. Don't let them change you, 'cause you know it always felt right. Just shift the skin off everything you've hated your whole life.
Such a good track. I think that chorus is like so sticky and so memorable. It's been kind of in my head all week. I was watching a couple of promotional clips from the band for this single, and they were talking about how a member of the band is trans, and this song is written from the perspective of someone who has a loved one, someone that they know who is trans and is going through the incredible emotional ordeal that it takes to realize that you were born into like a skin and a role and a gender presentation that is completely at odds with who you feel, and that very visceral felt sense of dysmorphia and not being in the body, or not having the body that corresponds to how you feel inside and in your own head. And look, I'm not trans, so I can't speak to that experience, but I can only imagine how brutal and terrifying that must be to go through. And I think this song kind of beautifully captures the sentiment of speaking to someone going through that ordeal and just being like, it's okay to shed that skin. Don't let the pressures of society and other people change who you feel yourself to be. You should honor that feeling, you should cherish that feeling, and you should try and actualize that into the world. And, I have people in my life who are trans. I have known many trans people, and I can only attest to their bravery and their courage in trying to deal with that struggle every single day. And I can't even fathom or imagine how difficult that must be. So I think, you know, I'll give my kudos to Brooklyn Comic for tackling such a sensitive subject in such a very respectful, very earnest, and genuine way. The song is an absolute banger, but knowing that lyrical and thematic messaging as well makes it all the more powerful, I think. I'm really looking forward to Define Happiness. I'm really excited to see what they're going to do in this debut album. Go listen to all of the singles, they're all incredible. I think it's going to be a really stacked record. Let's go on to final track for side A this week. Stacked full of bangers. What did I tell you? I got them all racked up. We have metalcore progressives ERRA, who have returned with their first taste of new music since 2024's critically acclaimed Cure LP. This new single is called Gore of Being, and this is pretty much everything that you would expect from ERRA. You've got winding grooves, crushing distortion, stellar vocal interplay between friend of the show JT Cavey and Jesse Cash. I have a quote here from the band on the new single. They say, quote, Gore of Being started as an idea that Clint brought into the studio, and it marks his first songwriting contribution to the band. Lyrically, Gore of Being turned out to be a musing on mortality. Despite not writing the lyrics, Clint later had a conversation with Jesse connecting the serendipity between the lyrics and the working title Clint had for the instrumental, which related to his dad's sudden and tragic passing. The song's context took a new shape from there, becoming a catharsis and being that much more special to the band. That's incredible. The band are also going to be dropping another new single. So this is kind of like a 2-track While You Wait teaser single, I think. That'll be happening later this month. That track is titled Echo Sonata. So keep your eyes peeled for that later this month. But yeah, stoked to have ERRA back. You should go check out our episode with JT, legend, friend of the show, great chat. And stoked to have ERRA back. Let's have a listen to the single. This is ERRA, Gore of Being.
Submissive to mortality. Something in the air, moving closer. And I am just a ghost of what was left, crossing over to live. And I crawl towards the edge, and offering suffocation.
I think ERRA have kind of perfected the art of what I'm calling the jackhammer groove. You know, this ability to kind of do the staccato riff pattern, but variate it in such a way that you feel just a little bit off, just a little bit off the beat, in such a way that it feels like an arrhythmia, you know, when your heart is like beating at like different tempos and kind of like out of sync with itself. They can do that with a guitar riff in a way that is like so arresting and so kind of like breath catching. In a live setting, it just sounds fucking insane the way that they're able to hit those beats and those off beats and allow those patterns to kind of like shift and groove. Roar of Being is a perfect example. There are little spots all over that place where that like main breakdown pattern is like slightly different each time, and it kind of fucks with your brain in the best possible way. And I mean, Jesse sounds phenomenal on this. JT sounds fucking beast. And yeah, these lyrics of wrestling with death, one's own mortality, the gore of being, the vicissitudes of living on this earth and having to watch people you love pass away and put your own life into very stark focus. I think it's super relatable. And as I get older and older, my hair gets greyer and people I love around me get older and older and will eventually pass away. Yeah, I start thinking about death. I start thinking about mortality. I think we all do. So incredibly relatable. Stoked to have ERRA back. Excited to hear what Echo Sonata sounds like. Maybe a little bit more spacier, maybe leaning into some of the more post-metal tendencies they flirted with on Cure. Who knows? I haven't heard it yet, but excited to see where they go. That brings us to the end of side A for this release roundup. I hope you enjoyed that. We were rocking through those songs nice and quick. I have 3 more tracks to go through. 3, correct number of fingers. I have 3 tracks to go through, as well as 2 more for the feature album discussion. You're going to want to hear this feature album. It's a fucking banger. It's exactly my kind of shit, and I think you'll enjoy it too. You can get all of that over on the TPD Patreon. Yeah, for as little as $5 a month, you can throw us some money. It helps keep the lights on, helps keeps the show going, helps us up the production value of what you get. We're looking at getting some better cameras. We're looking at getting some more gear to help kind of elevate the show. So if you'd like to support that, please do. The link is patreon.com/tpdpod. And yeah, help us keep the show going. And join us for side B of this release roundup. But until then, I'll see you on the next one. Thanks for rocking with us. Peace.